Nick Swisher joining us. Come on, Nick.
Yeah!
Now, you were at the Packers-Rams game. You have 6 season tickets. You have more season tickets than anybody in the world. You have 6 Rams.
I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I feel like you partook in those 6 tickets at one time.
I did.
Yes, you did, right?
So you saw the best game in the world yesterday, but you are a baseball, football guy.
Yes, sir.
And I want to talk about this World Series, is that when you play a great team, and I think the Red Sox are the best team I've seen since maybe the late 90s. Yankees.
You're right.
We're all going to crush Dave Roberts. How much heat does the Dodger manager deserve?
Yeah, I mean, right now, that just seems like what we're all doing. I mean, especially everybody in the media. I feel like it is kind of a tough thing, but at the end of the day, it's got to fall on somebody. When you're making these decisions, right, that happen, like who starts in your starting lineup, right? These are billion-dollar decisions, right? So I don't think it was just Dave Roberts' decision. I think he had some other people in the front office being like, hey, maybe Friedman was like, hey, this is how the lineup's going to be today, right? And also, too, if that's the type of squad that you are, and you're used to making a lot of changes, and you're used to playing matchups a lot, why would you end up changing the way you do things, right? In the postseason, everything's magnified. But for him, he made a couple moves, right, that in my mind were the right moves at the time, but sometimes they don't always pan out, and I think that's why he's catching a lot of heat.
Would you fire him?
For me, no. I mean, I love what he does. I love what he does for the game. I think his guys respect him. I think he's built up an unbelievable squad over there in Chavez Ravine. And I think right now, if you look at who else are you going to go get? Right? I feel like you got a guy right here that took his team to 2 World Series back-to-back.
And by the way, if he's such a bad manager, then why did he make all the right moves against the Brewers? When you face the best team in 20 years, I said this earlier, great teams don't have to play perfect. Alabama benched their quarterback in the national championship game and won.
And still won.
Okay, when you're great, you don't have to play perfect. Dodger fans are expecting their team to be perfect against a perfect team.
Correct.
I just thought the Red Sox had better players.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think we just haven't given the Red Sox the actual credit they deserve. And at the end of the day, they were just better, right?
Yes.
In all facets of the game.
This is what we do in the media. We dump before we congratulate.
Always.
Listen, Boston crushed the Yankees,
Yes,
crushed the Dodgers, and overwhelmed the Astros.
Yeah, think about it. 100-win Yankees, right? Went right through them.
Right through them.
100-win Astros, defending champs, went right through them. 2-time defending NL champ Los Angeles Dodgers went right through them. So at this point in time, how can we not give them the credit they deserve?
If you took David Price of the Red Sox and you gave him to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, seriously.
Sure.
Because they both, now Kershaw's obviously not what he once was.
Right.
So the Red Sox had the best ace, Chris Sale, and then David Price was actually better than Sale in this series.
Yeah.
You go into a World Series, I got 2 MVPs.
Yeah,
by the way,
exactly.
Also, my home field advantage in Fenway is a real home field.
It's a real thing.
Playing at Dodger Stadium, it's sunny.
Yeah.
It's not nooks and crannies. And
right.
I just felt like when I watch these games, I'm like, listen, we're talking about an all-time great team.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, top to bottom. And also look at it from this perspective. Their star players weren't even the best players in the postseason. In the ALCS, Jackie Bradley Jr., right? The 9-hole hitter ended up winning the ALCS, right? Then we go to the World Series. Steve Pearce, who? Steve Pearce, right? Got traded over halfway through the season, ended up playing, I think, 50 games for him, and ends up coming in 3 bombs in the World Series, 8 steaks, goes home and takes home that unbelievable Raptor truck. That thing was sweet, by the way. And ends up winning the World Series MVP. So if you get your role players and bench players doing what they're doing on top of your all-stars in the lineup, David Price, that was an X factor going into the World Series. And for him to do what he did was unbelievable. Also, give Alex Cora AC some credit for the way that he used his starters coming out of the bullpen in this entire series.
By the way, a couple years ago, the Warriors got to the finals, and Andre Iguodala, remember that, John? He was their best player.
That's what I'm saying,
so
right?
When you can
Not Steph.
when you can get your number one guy off the bench to play at an MVP level, and you're good to begin with,
right.
You're just not going to beat the Warriors that year. You're not going to beat the Red Sox this year. Now, Clayton Kershaw is interesting. You know, everybody knows, 250 innings, best pitcher in baseball, like the new Sandy Koufax for about 7 years.
Yes, sir.
He can't pitch those innings forever. He doesn't have the velocity. He has to, you're more of a baseball guy. It feels like he relies more on the off-speed stuff now.
Of course.
Now, he can option out.
Yes, sir.
He's from the state of Texas.
Yep.
Went to high school, but we saw those pictures with he and Matt Stafford.
Yeah, right.
If you were Kershaw,
right,
hell of a run in L.A.
Yes, sir.
Do you go to Houston? Do you go to Texas?
No. No. So if you're asking me if I think he should opt out here in the next 3 days, he's got 2 years left on his contract for $65 million. $65 million. That's unbelievable. So I think with where Clayton Kershaw is right now in his career, I don't think he should leave. And that's just a personal opinion, because when I think of the Los Angeles Dodgers, that's who I think of. I think of Clayton Kershaw, right? I don't think of anybody else. There's no one else that really comes to mind in this day and age. He is. He's the new version of Sandy Koufax right now. He's the face of your franchise. He has been since he came up in the big leagues in 2008 and made a name for himself. So I think for me, if you're Clayton Kershaw, what more do you want to get, right? You opt out of your contract because you think you're either going to get one of two things: more years on your contract or more money on your contract.
He doesn't need the money.
That's what I'm saying. So I think for right now, for him, he's got to go where he's happy, right? And I know he's catching a lot of heat because everybody's talking about his postseason struggles and how much he's struggled in elimination games for the Dodgers. But at the end of the day, he's the number one. He's the ace of the Los Angeles Dodgers. And if you don't have him for the regular season, you don't even think about getting yourselves into the postseason and playing for a championship.
It is interesting. You played for the A's. You played for the Indians. You played for
Yankees. White Sox for a quick year.
This Red Sox team is multiple guys could be MVP. Yeah. 2 aces. Kimbrel closer. Manager Alex Cora was great. Tremendous at home. Flew through. Flew. It's a little Alabama football. They flew through good teams.
Yes, sir.
Who is either in your 12 years in the bigs? Mm-hmm. Was there ever a team like the Red Sox that you were either on or faced where you were in the opposing dugout and you knew, or maybe the dugout you were in, we are stacked. We have no flaws. Because I look at the Red Sox, they defense. Situational hitting was unbelievable.
Yep.
Power.
Yeah.
Corners.
I mean, you
12
think of that.
years.
Yeah, I think the first team that comes to mind, and only because I was part of it, was our 09 Yankee squad. I mean, we had leadership. We had guys that hit for average. We had guys that hit for power. We had, Andy Pettit, CC Sabathia in his prime.
In their primes.
AJ Burnett. And by the way, the greatest closer ever, Mariano Rivera, shutting down games. So I think for myself, we felt that we didn't have any holes. And I think that we had the same outlook and approach that the Boston Red Sox had by saying every day we come to the ballpark, we're going to be successful. And whether you are or you're not, that's not the point. You are prepared. You are ready. You have done everything that you've had to do to get yourself ready to compete at 7 o'clock.
What a great feeling driving to the park from April to October.
Feeling good.
Knowing you have the better players.
Yes, sir. And that's exactly what I think Boston had. When you have, in my opinion, and we're going to find out here coming up with the awards, the AL MVP, in my opinion, at Mookie Betts.
Cy Young winner.
Leading off. You have a Cy Young contender in Chris Sale. JD Martinez, he has the chance to be the first designated hitter to ever win the MVP. So I think when you have guys like that in your lineup on top of role players like Steve Pearce, the Brock star, Brock Holt, Xander Bogaerts drove in 100 runs from the shortstop position. Eduardo Nunez comes out with some huge, a pinch hit 3-run home run. Right? So when you get all that help from all those different guys throughout your lineup, the one thing that I got to give Alex Cora a lot of credit for is his communication with those guys. That's a lot of personalities. That's a lot of egos, man. And to be able to keep all those guys happy through the good times and bad, there's a reason why he's a world champ manager.
Especially in Boston, where people are naturally cranky anyway.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, you know how the media goes.
Oh, Boston's suffocating. They're brutal.
But they're world champs, my man.
World champs, tip of the cap, Boston Red Sox, Nick Swisher. Enjoy those Rams. They're 8-0.
That's it, baby. Keep it going, boys. Sean McVay, you're a G, dude. Keep it going, my man.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.